Now, an EU price cap and import ban on Russian oil was devised to cut off funds to Moscow's war machine in Ukraine. And according to new analysis by a Finland-based energy think tank, they're taking their toll. The Centre for Research on Energy and Clean Air says the measures are actually costing Russia an estimated 160 million euros a day. When additional measures are implemented before the 5th of February, that economic hit is expected to rise to 250 million euros per day. Now, the import ban and price cap together have caused a 32% drop in Russia's oil revenues in December. So the EU measures are making it more difficult for Moscow to fund its war in Ukraine, it would appear. Let's discuss that further with Janis Kluger from the German Institute for International and Security Affairs. It's great to have you on the programme. Just talk us through exactly, the impact that these measures are having and whether or not it is the impact that the EU was aiming for.
Thank you very much for having me. The goals of these measures that came into effect in early December were actually twofold. On the one hand, as you mentioned, it was about reducing Russia's oil revenue. And on the other hand, the goal was to keep Russian oil flowing to world markets to avoid oil prices from rising too much and hitting consumers all over the world. And if we now look at the results that we see a strong drop in the prices that Russia is getting for its oil, while there's only a small drop in Russian export volumes. We can actually say that this is very close to what the original goals of these measures were. Now, what we don't know is exactly which measure is causing which effect. So we have, on the one hand, the EU, which stopped importing most of Russian oil in early December. So this is basically Russia losing a big market. And on the other hand, we have a shipping ban, which makes it very hard for Russia to send oil to other markets. And both together are sort of causing Russia to have to sell its oil very cheap. But I believe that at this point, the EU import ban is the more important measure, and the oil price cap at this point is actually not binding because the prices are so low anyway.
I'm interested to know what impact this is having on Russia's customers that aren't the EU. Is the price cap, for example, giving them an opportunity to ask for lower prices themselves?
So the prices also for third countries like India and China are also determined by supply and demand. And right now they simply see a lot of Russian supply coming to the market because Russia cannot send it to EU countries anymore. So the result is that Indian refiners, Chinese refiners can simply ask for lower prices because, if they don't get it from one company, they can go to a different company. So it is still supply and demand making these prices. And the oil price cap will become interesting if it works once the balance, the price actually rises above this cap. Right now it is below the cap, so the cap is not binding, and it is simply supply and demand, which is causing very low prices, which are way under this cap that has been introduced.
Right, and Russia's clearly going to want to counteract these measures and get that business back up again. Is that something it can do in the short term?
I think that actually most of the effect that we are seeing is going to stay. Russia, of course, tries to circumvent this. They try to build their own fleet of tankers, but it will be difficult because there are only so many tankers available in the world, and the shipping routes from Europe, from European Russia, so from Western Russia to Asia, are simply very long. So you need a huge fleet to do that. And I think it will not be possible to replace the EU market for Russia, even in the longer term. And we also have to consider that there is an additional ban coming on Russian oil products, which will even worsen the situation for Russia even more. It will make it necessary to get even more tankers for different kinds of products.
It's not about to get easier for them, is it? OK, Janis Kluger, we've just run out of time, but thank you very much for joining us on the programme.
Thank you very much.